Hi, welcome to this week's Opening Doors with Annette Compo. I get to introduce you to not only a very close friend of mine, but a business owner that has grown his business literally in a partnership with another friend. That friendship goes back long way. So before I start telling your story, because you know I could tell your story, but I
you.
think my version would be a little bit different than your version, and we want to stay with the facts. So please introduce yourself to the listeners.
My name is Dragan Tasic. I'm one of the owners for Z Painting. We are located in Farmington. We do cover Southeast Michigan for our painting drywall needs, but definitely great partner to have Z and Stephanie as well. And we do a lot with community, but it's an awesome place to be a member, a business owner, and a member of the community.
So let's go back to conception. So you and Z have been friends.
We've been friends for close to 40 years.
That's amazing.
Not sure how that happens when I'm 22, but yeah.
That's my line. Wait a minute. You're not supposed to take that. It's our skincare line. That's what it's the reason why people question, when we actually tell them our real age, which isn't for today's episode.
Okay.
That's just between you and I later on. So tell me a little bit about, 40 years, when did you come here to the United States?
So Z and I met originally from Yugoslavia. Now the Yugoslavia separated so many different countries, but now from Bosnia. And I came here in '89. Z did arrive to States, I believe, around 93 or 94, if I'm not mistaken. Just happened to be in the same area or same state, which was great. We had different journeys, different things, but Z been doing this for probably close to 2 decades. However, he started a company, or they started, him and Stephanie, his wife, started a company about almost 16 years ago right now. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you were in hospitality for a long time.
I was in hotels, hospitality, apartment communities, and different things, correct.
Yeah, and then some property management with rentals. So the experience, I believe, knowing you and knowing Stephanie and Z, and of course Z Painting, is that it's because of that experience is why that partnership became so strong, because obviously you have worked with our real estate clients, right? And so knowing and understanding in the hospitality business what people's expectations are, obviously their expectations are our reality. It's not the other way around. And so I know that probably was a nice addition when you brought that collaboration together.
Absolutely. I think from both of ours, we kind of started the business in a later age. We were not in our early 20s or teenagers, when we started. But I think that brought us through our journey. We learned a lot along the way. So one of the things I mentioned to somebody, I wish I did this much sooner, and that particular person said, but would you be as successful? Which I think it's a lesson. It's never too late to start what your passion are, but it's a great way to have experience other things that you can use in your own business. So
yeah, if only I had my experience when I was 19. But it just doesn't happen that way, right? There's a reason why we start at 19 and we end up where we're at today. And then even then some, right? So we align on very many levels. We align obviously with the Greater Chamber of Commerce, Greater Area Farmington Chamber of Commerce. We also align of CARES in Farmington Hills.
Absolutely.
And there's a reason why we have met within those organizations. Obviously your marketing is to give back, coming from contribution. And it's probably the reasons why we've been friends for so long is because of that alignment. So tell us a little bit about why your your involvement and your volunteering. Now you're the current president of the Greater Area Farmington Chamber of Commerce. So there's a joke of why you were that way, and I know I'm involved in that story. However, let's stay focused on you today. So this new role, because you've been on the board of directors, been on the executive board, why this new role for you?
I think one of the things that I love what Chamber brings to community, for business community as well. We've been part of it for probably 13, 14 years right now. And I know what that is benefit to our Z Painting company. It's a huge benefit, but also not necessarily just to get jobs, but to be part of the community, to have new friendships, to have old friendships through the chamber, to be able to help others as well. CARES is a perfect example of that. It's all helps the community, and that's what's the most important for us. We live in this community, we work, we play, so it's very important to give back to Chamber as well, because I think they did a lot for us personally.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that, because a lot of people will ask me, because this is not, I haven't always lived in Farmington Hills and done business in Farmington Hills, even though everyone thinks I've been here for, ever. And a lot of my followers come from the other side of the state or across the United States. And I'm sure you may have people asking you this question as well. So please elaborate if you feel, is that they ask me, why is your community so tight-knit? I've never seen a community come together where just about everybody, because we have a population of almost close to 100,000 people, but yet you see this energy that is really overlapping between the schools, the government, the local businesses, the nonprofits, and of course, when you say businesses, the business owners and their teams within there. And I really believe that we have this special secret.
I agree.
For this area, which is we come from contribution. We pour into the place that we live, that we work in, and the people, of course, like CARES in Farmington Hills, that's the most vulnerable of our community. So tell us a little bit about what you've done here at CARES in Farmington Hills.
So we try to volunteer as much, not necessarily day to day, not necessarily in the trenches like so many wonderful people do it, but CARES facility is beyond awesome, and it's for our community, for people that are in a need. So we try to do things like, help, drywall painting, bringing this facility, what Todd and the board of directors did for CARES is amazing. We just try to be part of it and try to actually help with their vision to bring this. So it's not like, lots of places possibly they don't look as good, so people are kind of embarrassed to show up. And I think CARES does beyond awesome job just promoting or helping people, not promoting, but helping people. And we want to be part of it, through painting, through kind of stuff that we do, that we do so well in general. And we want to do that for this community. We participate in their duck race. We just love a community in general, but CARES is one of the great organizations that if anybody can help, please do. But we love to do our part as much as we can.
So before we went live today, I told him not to be humble. And of course, you don't ever follow my directions, even in our friendship, which we'll talk about that later. So I'm going to tell them how you've impacted CARES in Farmington Hills. So that way everybody understands, is that you're the silent force. And there's a lot of businesses just like you as well in our communities that can literally see the spark or feel the spark when they come on the CARES property, and you felt that spark. You saw what was going on, and you are the silent leader, and people look at leadership in a community and they think that it has to be out there in the public, that you have to not have billboards, but the message has to be out there of who you are. And you and Z and Stephanie, you don't do that. You literally are the silent leadership that continues to show up no matter what the need is, not only for CARES in Farmington Hills, but a lot of different places. And I just want to make sure that people understand really who is on the show today. And when I look at that type of leadership, I want you to realize that people notice that because you become a role model, a place that people can see that it's okay to be quiet and do the work. Because there is, like you had mentioned, there's 160 volunteers here on a day-to-day basis, but they're as important as the businesses that are doing the silent work as well. And so I want to make sure that, somebody screams on the mountaintop really what Z Painting does for this community.
I really appreciate that. But also, regardless if you put, I think in my personal opinion, regardless is what that measure is it 1 hour or 5 hours or monetary or everything 100% helps. Even the post on a Facebook, even the anything that you can think of to help nonprofits in general. It's a huge, I know we're all busy and things like that, but I think for our community to thrive, you have to help everybody as much as possible. And thank you for kind words, but I think it's a lot of people who bring this organization where they are, and hopefully it's much more input from everybody.
And I'm not done yet.
Yeah. Okay then.
I knew that'd make you laugh.
Great.
So your work at CARES in Farmington Hills creates a safe space, right? By having the drywall, the painting, the aesthetics that make people feel comfortable when they walk in the door. Remember, if you've never walked into a food pantry before, how would we ever even know what that feels like? But I do know, walking into a food pantry, that people are not confident, right? They don't have the mindset because they are vulnerable. And being vulnerable, which I know you can appreciate, especially coming from another country and now coming to the United States, which obviously was almost 3 decades ago, but that vulnerability that you felt, I believe that that's why, one of the reasons why you give back to CARES in Farmington Hills. Right, in creating that safe space, the aesthetics of how people look at it kind of allows them to feel comfort, right? Feel dignity, feel that someone cares about them when you're not even there, right? They don't know the person that made them feel that way until this show, right? Because now we just told them that obviously you were a part of that. And I noticed that being on the property here at CARES as well. So I just want to share that the impact that we can make as leaders in our community, you sometimes don't even get to experience it, right? You never even know about it until someone actually acknowledges it. So, but on a business level, I also want to talk a little bit about the services that you offer. And I know we always joke about it because I always say, I'm going to call you no matter what, because you say yes painting. You do a great job because of your partnership with Sherwin-Williams about helping people pick out colors, because that's huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that alignment with Sherwin-Williams and the services that you offer your clients.
So like I mentioned earlier, one of the few things that we do, main things is painting, drywall, deck staining, and things like that.
Power washing.
Power washing, absolutely. Thank you. The Sherwin-Williams been really good to us from standpoint. They're our support system. We definitely agreed, in my opinion, in a painting, and our clients are happy and all that stuff. But Sherwin-Williams brings us, which are also part of the community and part of the chamber, but they bring us variety. They are everywhere and they are on every corner, but helps us with the colors, helps us with even if certain things we have questions about how to do certain things, not necessarily how to do lines on the walls, but how to, what's the best paint. If anything comes up, we have big support saying what's the best product, and we are not afraid to ask or tell the client, let us find out about that, because I think as a team we are doing very well to help what's most important, our clients. And they've been great to us. They just being available to us for most part it's a tremendous for us. So
well, I think too is that talking about a residential customer isn't just the services that you provide. You also have provided for investors. And sometimes, in the past, when you purchase a home, there may be a habit that someone's had within the house. So, for instance, smoking and frying foods, right? It leaves this film that I don't even know. It's like a special recipe that I never want to ever experience again. But you need to know how to handle that. And that's where I believe that if you ask me Z Painting's competitive advantage, you meet the customer exactly where the customers are
Absolutely.
at. So if it's an investor, and you're listening to this, don't be afraid to reach out to Z Painting because they will meet you exactly where. I know there's costs that are involved with investors, but there's costs obviously involved with residential. But investors tend to have a shorter or smaller margin, but you can still overcome those problems. And then, of course, with residential customers, it's the client I send to you that I don't get to tell them that black wall is probably not the best choice for resale. Right? I can send them to you so that way you can tell them that the black paint isn't the best for resale.
Absolutely. And we like you said, we try to help a client. The average homeowner does not do this for living. I cannot claim I know insurance. Yes, we deal with insurance. I heard about insurance, but I talk to professionals and they help me. The painting it's not any difference. Instead of spending 2 weekends away from family or with family bickering because you have to do the job or anything else, we can definitely help. When you are at work during the day, you can still spend your time with the family, but the beauty part about it is that we can be there and answer any questions for you. You can, ask us, and we will, again, repeating, if I don't know the answer, if we don't know the answer, we will go to the expert for the paint who can give us answers. And not just that, but why is that the best idea versus necessarily just telling you, do it this way. We'll explain the details, why we think and why we believe that is the right way of doing it.
Love it. So if you have any needs or questions, obviously, about painting or home improvement, drywall work, try Z Painting out. Not only are they the heart of the community here, but they're also the experts in their industry. Once again, thank you so much for everything that you give to our community, to our clients, because our clients rave about you, which obviously it warms my heart knowing. And until next episode, I'll see you then.
Thank you for everything.